This is Smile'N Sam Alvey, and you're listening to the MMA Think Tank.
You are listening to MMA Think Tank with Jay and Mike.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Sam Alvey. Is that you?
The one and only.
Awesome, Smile'N Sam. Well, this is Mike along with my buddy Jay.
What's up, Sam? Good to have you
Hey,
back.
how you doing?
And we're just happy to talk to you again here on MMA Think Tank podcast. I know you're Smile'N Sam, but I'm sure you got maybe a little bit of a frown with Fight Night 97 being canceled. What's your take on that, buddy?
Yeah, it's a real bummer that it happened. I've never had a fight go down like this before. And so I don't know everything that's about it, but I know I believe BJ Penn not being on it is one of the bigger reasons. And so BJ Penn has lost a fan in me.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. He's been, he was supposed to be on a couple times, and of course there was trouble with the law that I guess he was exonerated from, but then he was hurt a couple times as well. What do you think about that with his comeback? And I know this interview is more about you, but since you brought it up, what do you think about his coming back?
You know what? He really was one of the few you call him a legend, UFC legends that I would have liked to have seen come back. His last fight against Frankie Edgar was just terrible. He looked so bad. And for someone who's had such distinguished careers himself, I was looking forward to him coming back, getting maybe that one more fight, washing that bad taste out of his last fight out of his mouth. And I would have liked to have seen it. And I should say, if it's actually injury that pulled him from the card, he's still got a fan. But if it's anything else other than him being injured, then he's lost a fan in me.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking forward to his comeback too, Sam. He's one of the all-time, greats in the sport, and I was looking forward to that. So it's unfortunate, but I understand how you feel.
Yeah, and it's really a shame. The UFC is always going to take care of us. They said they're going to give me on a card sooner rather than later. Just stay in shape, and so I've been staying in shape a lot over the last 4 months. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Well, so your fight with Alex Nicholson is off, but I want to know, how would it have went, if the UFC Fight Night 97 wasn't canceled? I'm sure you would have knocked him out, but was there something new in your game that we would have noticed?
You know what? Not so much. I'm getting to be, an old dog. I've got close to 50 fights. And so I do what I do. Everything's getting a little sharper every day, but I'd go out there and I'd find a way to connect. It was only 2 fights ago that I got my first submission in the UFC, my first submission in like 7 years even. So I've still got a couple tricks up my sleeve, but with him, it was really stay away from his power. Don't let his size fool me, and try and connect.
Well, that's pretty good, because I was talking to a buddy of mine that said he read that you took the bout before even knowing who your opponent was. You just said,
yeah.
I want to fight on the card. Is that true? And if so, man, I like you even more.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And actually, my Eric Spicely fight, I didn't know who I was fighting for a day or two. They just said, "Do you want to fight in 3 weeks?" And we said yes. And then, after the Eric Spicely, they came back with, they asked if I wanted to fight Tim Boesch. I said, of course. And then they said, Tim Boesch is out, but I get Kevin Casey. I said, okay, I'll take that too. And then, this one here, we were trying to get another fight or two this year yet. And they said, do you want to fight in, middle of October? And they said, okay. They said, all right, we'll get back to you in a few days then.
Yeah,
and,
you are a good
They
man.
came back, and I liked the matchup too.
Well, awesome, man. Like you said, you're always fighting. You rarely take a break. With the fight card being canceled, you still got your show money, which is great. So has the cancellation been kind of a blessing in disguise?
No, because I wanted to. I honestly wanted to fight after this one another. If I could get 2 more fights this year, and I don't know if it would happen. Maybe it's being a little too optimistic, but I would have liked to fight more than just once this year, one more time this year. So if this fight gets rescheduled sooner rather than later, maybe I can still get that one more fight in December. Otherwise, I'll get the next fight as soon as I can. Either way. So I really was looking forward to fighting a couple more times this year.
Well, awesome, man. I mean, when the fight was canceled, I wrote on Facebook, basically for our site, about how a lot of times, when fights are canceled, they don't get, just moved together to another fight card. Sometimes they separate the matchups. And so I was, just taking a look at the top 15 and fighters there, and I was thinking with your 2-fight win streak and 2 finishes, you got a submission and a knockout. I'd love to see you against Uriah Hall. He's ranked number 10. What's your thoughts on that, or do you want to fight maybe somebody still a little bit below the top 10?
I'll fight whoever. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Alex Nicholson or Uriah Hall. I'll fight everyone eventually. The cream always rises to the top, and I'm on my way to the top again. So yeah, it doesn't matter who I fight. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my best to put on a fight of the night type performance, and I'm going to make more and more fans every time I'm on stage.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, the way you finish fights, the way your demeanor is, outside of the cage as well as inside the cage. You've got 2 fans here, obviously on our podcast.
Yeah, and I have to add, Sam. You've had a long-time fan in me, going back to MFC. I remember seeing you there and saying, man, I like this guy. I like his attitude. I like his knockout power. And when you got on to Tough, I was pulling for you there, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I had a great time back in the MFC. Tough was good too. But you know what? I'm happy to be where I'm at now.
Yeah, something that some fighters aren't too happy about, though, is Fight Pass. How do you feel about fighting on Fight Pass? Some fighters are down on it because they aren't televised, but at least you do know the people watching are the hardcore fans. What's your take on fighting on Fight Pass?
I'm actually a huge fan of Fight Pass.
Awesome.
I've been telling everyone that asks, I think Fight Pass is honestly going to be the future of all MMA, and probably kickboxing, maybe even boxing. I give it 5 years before there are no more pay-per-views. It's all going to be pay-per-views on Fight Pass. It's just the way that the world is going right now. Everything is moving to online. Fight Pass is nice in that it's only, I think, $8 a month or something, and that they're beating the trend. They're creating the trend. So I'm a huge fan of Fight Pass. I like how easy it is to watch. You can watch it on your phone from anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just, like I said, I think it's the wave of the future. I think it's the way it's going to be, and I'm happy to be on the building floor of that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Sam. I love Fight Pass. Me and Mike both have Fight Pass. And what I notice about Fight Pass is they're starting to put bigger fights on Fight Pass because they want a bigger draw there. And I think that goes in line with what you're talking about here. I think that eventually that is the step that's going to happen, because not only do you have these current fights, but you have a backlog of so many fights in the archives there on Fight Pass that are wonderful to go back and watch.
Yeah, they really are, and they've reached out to so many different organizations. They have King of the Cage, they have Invicta, they have what Glory's on there now. They have Pride and Strike. I mean, they have so much fight stuff on there. A fight fan, he's in heaven on Fight Pass, and somebody who's not quite a fight fan can be made a fight fan pretty easily with the Fight Pass subscription.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that Jay was talking about, being a fan since MFC, and I'm one of those guys as well. Back then it was HDNet, but now it's Access TV, the channel way up there high on the cable or the Dish Network, whatever you have. And being able to see you there, we were able to see you coming up. A lot of people, I think, now are going to get to see some fighters coming up in the UFC based off of Fight Pass. A lot of guys, people may not have checked it out, but hey, look, you're paying $10 a month to watch old fights, but also you're getting these new fights. And again, as Jay talked about as well, you're getting better fights. And you were the headliner, correctly? Am I correct on Fight Pass for this time?
I was the headliner on the undercard of Fight Pass. So I believe they had 8 undercard fights and then 4 main card fights on Fight Pass. I was the headliner of the undercard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, one question I have left really for you about this this kind of canceled event, but also just training in general, would be, you and Dan Henderson were set to fight within a week of each other. Obviously not against each other, but within a week of each other. How hard is it, to get a fight a week after a training partner? I mean, I'm sure you want to have all the time you can to train, but you need to be there for your partner as well. How do you deal with something like that?
Again, I love it. Dan, I've been up here with Team Quest for about 6 years now. Dan and I have been main training partners of one another. We do the best. If I'm fighting a southpaw, it's fun seeing Dan change the southpaw. And even for this camp, when he needed his rounds for Bisping, I'd switch to orthodox for him. And it's really fun getting to see how, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, trains. Getting to train with him and getting to prepare for a fight with him. I was really hoping to be on the same card as him, but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike and I both we're pulling for Dan Hendo, so we're hoping that he gets that H-bomb in there that night.
You know what? He's in great shape. He's feeling wonderful in camp. Don't be surprised if it happens.
Oh, I won't be.
Yeah, he's got 5 rounds to land that. I certainly don't think that Bisping is going to be able to knock Dan out. I know he knocked out Rockhold, but I think that was just, the stars aligning, God's will, whatever you believe in. But we're pulling for Dan to get that done. What a story that would be. What a great guy to have it. But talking about knockouts, kind of a bad segue, I guess, but I want to get it in here real quick for you. Derek Brunson gave you your first kind of knockout loss. They say, once you get KO'd, it's hard to really get back into it fully training. You get kind of gun shy. That hasn't happened to you, obviously. You've been knocking people out, been in fights, but why is that? And how did you deal with the unfortunate first in your career of getting knocked out?
You know what? I wasn't knocked out. It was stopped early. I always say that. And then I always say I got my butt kicked for 2.5 minutes before they stopped the fight. So I don't hold too much ill will. But it was poorly stopped. The referee even called me a week later and said, "Yeah, my bad." And that being said, I never felt the gun shy. I never got a headache. I was never concussed or anything. I just pushed forward and I was back in camp by Monday.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, of course it was more of a TKO. If anything, like you said, it was stopped fairly early. Was that Big John that called you? Who was that? Can you tell us, or does that hush?
No, who was it? Was it Yamasaki? I think it was Yamasaki.
Okay.
It was either him or Mazzagatti. Mazzagatti, I believe it was.
Well, that doesn't surprise me if it was him. But how often does that happen? I think that's pretty awesome for a ref to do that. I know they probably don't have to do that. How did you feel about that?
You know what? It didn't help my bank account at all, but
right.
All has been forgiven. They say ask for forgiveness and it'll be given. He did. He apologized. He said I should have let him hit you a few more times, and I agree. I hate it. I hate when refs stop things too early. I think they should. I think they should stop fights too late. I really do. I know every risk of being in that cage, and it should be up to me and me alone, and if that fight is going to stop. Yeah, and that's just my personal belief. I know some guys disagree, but me, I wanted to don't stop that fight unless you see parts of me start falling off, and even then give it another punch or two.
Yeah, I think that, I know a lot of guys, and I'm sure yourself as well, do this, that will say, look, what you just said, and let's not, my arm's falling off or whatever. But, if a fighter says, hey, if it's looking bad, stop it. If it's, until, the eyes are rolled back, don't stop it. I think it should be up to the fighter as well. You guys know what you're doing. You've been doing it for years, especially you, Sam, and you've been in some wars. Something that, talk about knockouts that, man, I didn't know, and just doing the research for this interview, I caught a Muay Thai match of yours on YouTube. You had a guy falling back like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and then in the second round, you knocked him out. It looks like the video ended, but I'm pretty sure it was over. I didn't know you did any kickboxing. I mean, how was that experience, and are you going to do it again?
Yeah, I think I've got 6 professional Muay Thai fights. I think I've got 5 wins and 1 loss. And shoot it. You know what? Honestly, I'm with the UFC. I'll probably never kickbox again. But you know, if all goes according to plan, I'll never kickbox again. But if ever I was given the opportunity, I'd love to. It hurts way more than MMA does.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, those guys just doing the one discipline. I'm sure that's, you know, they don't have to worry about wrestling or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or anything like that. But you know,
I've always been the style. If a fight is offered, I've never said no, and I'll never say no. It's, you know, just always been my I guess you'd say motto. If every fight that's ever been offered. I mean, shoot, I was offered Tim Bosch 2 days after I beat Eric Spicely for about 3 weeks later, and I said yes unhesitantly. If it's offered, I will always say yes.
Yeah, you're the man.
What a fight that would have been, both you guys throwing leather at each other. I realize you guys both are well-rounded mixed martial artists. We've seen that in the octagon, but seeing both you big guys just throwing would have been awesome.
And who knows? Maybe it'll happen someday.
Oh, I'd like to see it. Maybe it'll be the next fight. I mean, like, you talk about 2 fan favorites that come to fight. I mean, you guys are it, and so I'm pumped to see that. You know, I also saw a video of you talking about the hardest thing in MMA is for MMA fighter is a weight cut. And I laughed pretty hard when you said that there hasn't been one time you didn't think, why couldn't I have been better at baseball? Man, was baseball even in the picture as a career? I mean, I love you as, you know, Smile'N Sam. But...
No, I wish it was, but no, I'm pretty bad at every other sport. I play a real mean trumpet, though.
Wow, something we didn't know.
Yeah, I actually saw it was semi-pro. I didn't know you could go semi-pro at trumpeteering.
Yeah, all that meant was everyone I played with got paid. I just never got paid.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I meant by semi-pro. The band made money. I just did not.
That makes sense.
Okay. Well, you know, if you ever want to come on the show and play a little ditty for us, that's awesome. But if you say no, we understand that as well.
Yeah, you know, I've been picking it up a little bit lately, and I'm not nearly as good as I once was.
I understand. Well, I mean, how's the family doing right now? You just had a baby over the last few months. It's got to be crazy over there at the Alvey estate. Yeah,
sure. We've got 3 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and fighters are always coming and going. It's a busy household. But no, it's wonderful. All the kids are doing well. You probably heard them screaming in the background a second ago. And they're doing well. But the new one, little Crosby, he's just the best baby that's ever been. And then Reagan and Ivel, they're doing pretty well still as well. Yeah, that's one thing I really love about you and just that whole family dynamic that you got going on. You're out there making the money fighting, and she's always right there in your corner. She's got your back every step of the way. It's just a wonderful thing to see. It's awesome. It's just always been the way it was. Like I've said it a bunch of times before. I never knew fighting was going to be a thing for me. It was just I wanted to give it a shot. I thought it was tough, and I said, sure, let's do it. And if I said she was my corner, she got a free ticket. So she started off as my corner for quite a while up for that reason, and she started taking it way more serious than I ever did, and I really wouldn't have had that career without her. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. I think I can speak for Jay and I and say that we both have wonderful wives. I mean, we know all about that. I mean, you were able to tell the world, you know, how amazing your wife is, obviously, on the mic after you beat Kevin Casey. Was that a spur of the moment thing, or did you kind of plan that? No, I had no idea I was going to say it. I turned around, and you can kind of see it in the video. I kind of turned around, oh, she's there. So, yeah, by the way, she's fantastic. And I was even pointing to her like through half of it, and she had moved to the other side of me. No, I didn't know I was going to say any of that. It's all part of the reason why, you know, it's hard not to like you. You know, it really is. I appreciate it, guys. You know what, I can't do the sport without making people like me. So the more of them that are out there, the happier the bosses will be. So are you living in California full time now, or are you still out of Wisconsin? Yeah. Oh, okay, you are here. I've been in California for about 6 years now. Awesome. Did not know that. Yep. I miss Wisconsin. California is nice that it doesn't have snow, but
I agree.
I come from Wisconsin quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. I think I know what you're getting at. We have beautiful weather here, but aside from that, I understand. Believe me.
So have you adopted the California winter wear of a hoodie and flip-flops?
I even when I was in Wisconsin, I was in flip-flops year-round. I never liked shoes. And now that I'm a fighter, I never have to wear shoes. It's fantastic. But yeah, it's pretty much, I've got my, I teach at my gym, or at Dan's gym as well. So it's usually a pair of shorts and the blue Dan Henderson t-shirt. And that's
awesome.
Pretty much me 6 out of 7 days a week.
So you got your Hendo t-shirt on. You know where you get the Hendo t-shirts. You talk about where, you coming from where it was snowing and everything. That's being caught inside a bit, I'm sure. When I do an interview, I try and hit as many topics as I can. And I saw a screen capture of you from the UFC video game. I gotta say, man, they did a darn good job on you. Have you played as yourself, or do you play as someone else? I mean, in the screen cap, Vitor Belfort was behind you. I gotta say, he didn't look as good as you.
I've only played as myself. I have played a couple times. I've never played as anyone else, just myself.
Yeah.
But that was even before I was a fighter. It was a goal of mine to be in a video game. And the UFC and fighting has made it happen.
Well, that's awesome, brother. I also saw something also that you love musicals, my friend. You watch a lot of movies, like Jay and I watch a lot of movies, but you say you love musicals. I bet not many fighters are into that genre. But I got to tell you, one Christmas a few years ago, I was dragged to see Les Miserables starring Hugh Jackman. And I got to say, he had me mesmerized. Best performance I'd ever seen by an actor. I assume you saw it. Am I wrong about Wolverine? What did you think about his performance?
He was funny. If you Google him, before he was Wolverine, before he was a big Hollywood star, he was one of the flashiest dancers in Australia. I mean, you should Google and see. You would think it's hilarious, the kind of stuff he's
I did not know that.
Because he was a dancer, a singer. He was that kind of actor before he was Wolverine.
Cause I gotta tell you what, I've been watching comic book movies for a while, and I've been seeing Hugh Jackman. Never seen a lot of that. I'm going to YouTube that, as soon as we get off the air with you. What's next though? Besides, this card being canceled, are you looking to fight? You say you're looking to fight soon, but how soon is soon? Are you waiting for the call right now, or are you waiting for a week?
I'm waiting for the call right now. I got the call saying the fight was canceled, so I ate like a pig yesterday. But now I've cleaned up my diet again today, and I'm hoping. I think the next card is November 5th in Mexico City. I think that's right. Hopefully, I get on that card. If not that, whatever card is a week later. I want to fight. I would still love to fight 2 more times this year. And I don't know if it'll happen, but I know I'll get. I hope I know I'll get at least one.
Sam, we'd love to see you fight again, and we'd love to have you back again sometime. Thank you for taking the time out to speak with us today. And you're welcome back anytime.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No, thank you very much, Sam.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.